All right, welcome. Today, we're going to dive deep into the critical legal architecture that's designed to protect public integrity. We're talking about the specific laws that stand guard over our government's money and, just as important, our trust in it.
You know, it really boils down to this age-old question, doesn't it? When you put people in positions of power, when you give them the keys to the vault, what systems do you actually build to make sure they act as faithful guardians and not, well, opportunistic thieves? That single question is the absolute heart of what we're unpacking today. So, we're going to pull apart the specific articles of law that act as these critical safeguards. I want you to picture this. Think of public trust and all that public money as a priceless treasure, locked away inside a massive fortress. Well, these laws we're talking about, they're the high walls, they're the deep moat, and they're the strict rules that the guards themselves have to follow.
So, let's start with Section 1, Guarding the Public's Trust. We're calling this the Fortress of Public Integrity.
Here's something you've got to get right from the start. Articles 213 through 216, they're not just about punishing bad actors after the fact. No, they're much bigger than that. They are the actual blueprint for an ethical government, one that is built on a foundation of accountability. Their real goal is to maintain our faith that the system at its very core is designed to be fair.
Moving on to Section 2, the outright heist. This is where we get into Article 213, which deals with the most direct kind of theft, frauds right against the public treasury.
The law is pretty smart about this. It breaks this whole heist idea down into two main ways a public officer can pull it off. First, through cheating on government contracts, and second, through corruption when they're collecting money like taxes. Let's take a look at each one. Okay, first up, contract fraud. Just picture this. The government puts out a big contract to build, say, 100 new bridges. A corrupt official teams up with a shady contractor. They cook the books, they use fake paperwork to build the government for all 100 bridges, but here's the catch, they only build 50. And the money for those other 50 ghost bridges? Yep, that gets split right between them. That is a textbook example of this kind of fraud. The second method is what the law calls illegal exactions. This is fraud on the collection side of things. For example, a tax agent walks into a small business and says, look, your official tax bill is $10,000. But, hey, listen, just give me $7,000 in cash right now and we can make all this messy paperwork just disappear. The agent pockets the cash, no receipt is ever issued, and the government gets absolutely nothing. It's a direct theft of public money before it even gets into the vault.
So let's break this down a bit. Look under the hood. First, the offender has to be a public officer who's in a position to mess with contracts or collections. Second, and this is absolutely crucial, the mindset matters. This isn't about an honest accounting mistake. We're talking about a deliberate, intentional scheme to defraud. The harm? It's twofold, a direct hit to the government's wallet and an even deeper corrosion of public trust. This means, of course, the main way someone might try to defend themselves is to claim it was all just a simple error, not willful fraud.
And believe me, the price for this kind of direct theft is steep. The law lays it out clearly, a penalty of prisión correccional to prisión mayor. Now what that means in plain English is prison time, from over 2 years all the way up to 8 years behind bars. And on top of that, a massive fine, anywhere from 40,000 up to 2 million pesos, or sometimes both. The message is clear. If you rob the vault, you're going to pay for it.
Okay, Section 3, Fraud with an Insider's Edge. This is where things get even more serious. We're looking at Article 214, which is all about when an official's power itself becomes the weapon. Now, what's fascinating here is that Article 214 doesn't actually invent a new kind of fraud. Instead, it takes other existing frauds and says, hey, if a public officer commits this crime by using their official position to do it, we're adding a special extra penalty. It's the abuse of power that's the key ingredient, the thing that makes the crime so much worse in the eyes of the law.
Here's a great way to think about it. Standard fraud is like a burglar trying to pick the lock on a door. But fraud under Article 214, that's the head of security who uses their master key, knows all the camera blind spots, and just waltzes right in to disable the alarms. One is a crime, for sure. The other is a profound betrayal of the very trust placed in them.
And that right there is why the law comes down so hard on this. The damage isn't just the money that was stolen. The much greater harm is the damage done to the institution itself. When someone in power uses that power to cheat the public, it screams to everyone that the system is rigged. It just poisons the well of public trust. So you see this number up on the screen, 12 years. What's that all about? Well, that is the maximum length of a temporary special disqualification that can be handed down. And let me tell you, this isn't just about jail time. This is a career killer. A reputation destroyer, it's a penalty designed specifically for this ultimate betrayal.
So, let's be super clear about what special disqualification actually means. It's a penalty that cuts right to the heart of a public servant's life. It's a legal ban from holding any public office ever again. Now, it can be temporary for up to 12 years, but in the really serious cases, it can be perpetual. Think about that, a lifetime ban. Can you imagine building your entire career on public service only to be told you're done forever because you betrayed that trust?
All right, Section 4, the lines of loyalty. Now we're going to shift gears a little. We're moving from punishing active crimes to looking at the rules designed to prevent those crimes from ever happening in the first place. These are about preventing conflicts of interest.
This quote, man, it just nails the entire spirit of these next two articles. The law demands that a public official serves one and only one master, the public. The moment their own personal financial interests get in the mix, their loyalty gets split. And these laws are basically saying, nope, not on our watch. That kind of divided loyalty is completely unacceptable. You see, Articles 215 and 216 are all about being proactive. They're designed to fence officials off from situations where they might even be tempted to put their own wallet ahead of their public duty. The whole point is to build this massive, unbreachable firewall between their official job and their private bank account. Okay, let's get specific with Article 215, which I call the speculator rule. It applies to appointive public officers, and it forbids them from getting mixed up in speculative deals like stocks or real estate within the same territory where they have power. Think about it. If you're the city planning director and you find out, top secret, that a new highway is being approved, can you then go out and quietly buy up all the land along that route knowing its value is about to skyrocket? Absolutely not. That's using insider knowledge for personal gain, and that's exactly what this law is designed to stop.
Next up, we have Article 216, the self-dealer rule. And this one casts a much, much wider net. It forbids an official from having any interest, direct or indirect, in a contract or a business that their own office is supposed to be overseeing. The classic example? The head of purchasing for a government agency. It's simple. That person cannot also be the owner of the company that's selling laptops and paper to their own agency. Their public duty is to get the best deal for the taxpayer, but their personal interest is to make the biggest profit. This law says you simply cannot be in that position.
And just look at who gets covered by this rule. It's not just the obvious public officials. It extends to experts hired by the government, arbitrators, even private accountants and guardians who are managing an estate. So why the wide net? Because all of these jobs are positions of incredible trust that demand total impartiality. An expert hired by a court to appraise a piece of land can't then turn around and buy that land on the cheap. The law is smart. It knows temptation can pop up anywhere, and it steps in to shut that door before it even opens.
All right, our last section, the price of betrayal. So after all this, what actually happens when someone breaches these defenses? Let's wrap it all up. This chart gives you a really clear picture of how the law ranks these crimes in terms of severity, at least when it comes to prison time. That direct heist, under Article 213, that gets you the most time, up to 8 years. Speculating with insider knowledge can get you 6 years. And self-dealing, while still very serious, maxes out around 2.5 years. And don't forget, this jail time is just the start. It's often piled on top of huge fines and that career-ending disqualification we talked about. But really, as we've been saying, for someone who has built their life around public service, the ultimate penalty often isn't the time you spend in a cell. It's the perpetual special disqualification. It is the permanent, irreversible loss of the right to hold public office. It's a legal stamp that says you betrayed the public's trust so badly that you can never be given that responsibility again.
And that brings us right back to where we started, to our fortress of public trust. It's a structure with multiple layers of defense. You have Article 213, guarding the main gate against a direct assault, the outright heist. You have Article 214, which watches the guards themselves, punishing betrayal from within. And then you have Articles 215 and 216, which are there to keep the water supply pure, preventing the slow poison of conflicting interests from corrupting the whole system. Every single layer is essential.
So at the end of the day, these laws give us the blueprint. They draw these big, bright lines in the sand between public service and private gain. But let's be honest, a line written in a law book is only as strong as the people and the systems willing to defend it. And that leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. Who is watching the line?